Kevin, you're muted.
All right, trying that again. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for giving us some of your personal time, some of your time with family in order to learn more about our majors and how you can best support your student in their college journey. My name is Kevin Laudner, and I'm the Dean for the College of Nursing and Health Sciences here at UCCS, and we are so excited to see so many of you joining us tonight. We have a lot more people than we were expecting, and that's great because that means you're interested in our programs. And more importantly, that means you are interested in careers in healthcare and human performance, which are in such high demand right now. So we're going to start off with some introductions of our 4 panel members. And I'd like each panel member, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about, what position you have, what department you're in, maybe where you got your academic degrees, and then maybe a personal fun fact as well. So Debbie, why don't we start out with you?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Debbie Pollard, and I'm the department chair for nursing. I've been a nurse for a long time and a nurse educator for a long time, but I've been here at UCCS for 8 years. I started as a diploma grad from a training school in a hospital and continued my academic journey with my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, then my PhD degree. My particular specialty is maternal child nursing. And so I practiced up until 3 years ago. I maintained an active practice, and my particular passion is lactation. I'm a certified lactation consultant, so I enjoy that a lot, and working with now my students who are working in maternal child areas and doing courses for them in lactation. So a fun fact, that's a hard one for me always, a fun fact. I guess I have to enjoy I love my Boston Terriers, my pets, who are always excited when I come home after a long day and always excited to see. But Bethel's been training nurses here in Colorado Springs for 119 years. So we're very proud of our heritage here in Colorado Springs, and we've been at the university for actually 25 years. This past year, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of joining the UCCS family.
Thanks, Debbie. Andy.
Sure, my name's Andy Sabuti. I'm the professor and chair of our Human Physiology and Nutrition department in the college, and I've been at University of Colorado for now. Let's see, I started 20 years ago. I was at the medical school campus and then came to UCCS in 2005 and have been in the biology department, and then had the pleasure of starting this new department, Human Physiology and Nutrition, which is really a pre-professional program. We have exercise science majors, and you'll hear more about that, as well as kind of our pre-med, pre-PA kind of track. My path to here was very circuitous, as probably many other people did. I actually went to school down the street at Colorado College, did a math degree, then went to graduate school in engineering, and figured out that's not what I wanted to do. And I went into the life sciences, and eventually I got graduate degrees at Colorado State and University of Utah, came back and did a postdoc at the med school before landing here at CU or at UCCS. And I think a fun fact about me is I realize is I've actually been either a student or a faculty at all of the University of Colorado campuses, yet I hold no degrees from the University of Colorado campuses. But I would send my kids here.
That's great. Thanks, Andy. Jackie.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jackie Burning. I'm also professor and chair of the Health Science Department. And our Health Science Department the name gets everybody confused because I get calls about nursing, I get calls about PTs, I get calls about all sorts of things. So health science, in the department, we kind of focus on health promotion and changing behavior, ways in which you can change health behavior, move in kind of that wellness space. So gosh, I've been at UCCS, I'm afraid to tell you how long, 30 years. I've been here a long time. I was also in when I first was hired was in the Department of Biology, and then eventually moved down to the Nursing College and Health Science College. So I've been department chair here now for about 8 years. Let's see, my background is something you don't want your children to do. I have a Bachelor of Science from, at the time, it was Southern Colorado State College, which is now CSU Pueblo. I think they graduated me because I had so many credits. So they said, you're out of here, you're done. And then that's when I decided afterwards what I wanted to do. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in clinical nutrition from Northern Arizona University. That was kind of what I wanted to do. I have a master's degree from the University of Colorado Boulder because I wanted to put nutrition kind of together with exercise science. So it was kind of an exercise science focused program up in Boulder. And that was my master's. Decided to do the PhD and went up to Colorado State University and received my PhD in nutrition. So Andy, I'm just about you. Been at all institutions in Colorado, one including in Arizona. But it's one of those things that I see experienced in my students, right? They come to an institution, they think this is what they want to do, and all of a sudden they find something and it becomes their passion. So my passion is nutrition. I've spent a lot of time working with active people who giving them information about human performance. I guess the fun fact for me is that I've had the opportunity to be the sport dietitian for our NFL team here in Colorado for about 25 years. Spent some time with the Colorado Rockies, the Cleveland Indians, and with USA Swimming at the Olympic Training Center.
Thanks, Jackie. And Linda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Goodwin. I'm an admissions counselor here at UCCS, and I've worked at UCCS for almost 22 years now in the area of student success and admissions. I'm currently an admissions counselor. I work with prospective students from all majors with a focus on nursing students, nursing prospective students. I've earned my master's in student affairs from UCCS and in 2005. So yes, like I said, I've been here a long time. And fun fact is I've had one son, 5 nieces, and 2 nephews all graduate from UCCS. So
Great.
Great. All right, now that we're through the introductions, I've got some planned questions for our panel, but this is your chance to ask any questions you may have for our panelists as well. And you've got a senior admissions counselor and all of our department chairs at your disposal here. So if you have any questions, type them into the chat. Beth Graham is here and she's monitoring those questions. And as those come up, I will implement those into our questions and we'll ask our panelists. So please feel free. This is your opportunity. You have direct access to these individuals that know more about our programs than anybody and more about the admissions process into UCCS than anybody. So please ask any questions. There are no bad questions. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask the panel the first question. And again, as you see fit, type your questions into the chat. But this one is for our department chairs. And if you could provide an overview of your department and its majors. So we'll start off with Andy this time.
You bet. Beth, do you have those slides that you could put up that might be easier to follow along? If not, I will launch into it. The Department of Human Physiology and Nutrition really spawned off the biology department a few years ago. we were in biology and had a biomedical science option within biology. And that became so large that it actually became essentially this department. And so we are responsible for these 2 degrees that you see listed here on the far right of this slide, the BS in Human Physiology and Nutrition. We have a biomedical science option that's primarily for students who are thinking pre-med or pre-PA, pre-dental. And we also have a nutrition and dietetics option for those students who want to go into the field of nutrition, like Dr. Burning is. That degree program just switched within the last year or so to a master's level program. And so you have to have a bachelor's degree to get into the master's program now. But to become a registered dietitian starting in 2024, you have to have a master's degree. And so there we go. And then the second degree we have here is a BS in exercise science. We have a strength and conditioning option and an athletic training option under that. And that is a very similar degree plan. You take all the basic science classes that you do, like for human physiology and nutrition, but the difference between those 2 degrees is really what happens in the last 2 years, the elective classes that are taken, those that are heading more towards the medical track or PA track are taking a little bit more of the biomedical science classes, where the exercise science students are taking classes that would lead them to be an exercise physiologist, a biomechanist, sports dietitians, etc. So those are our undergraduate degrees. And I think I'll stop with the undergraduate degrees and let some of the other departments jump in here. So Debbie or Jackie?
Yeah, we're going to go to Debbie next. And then Debbie, after you get done, we've got a couple of questions coming in about nursing. So I'll ask you those.
Sure. This slide represents our undergraduate programs. And then in addition, we'll talk about the graduate program options. In our undergraduate baccalaureate degree, we have really 3 options: the traditional, accelerated, and RN to BSN. Now, the traditional program is that program for the typical students who are pursuing a 4-year generic Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. Now, you'll see on here that it does say a 4-year and a 5-year. It depends on the students and the pace at which they want to complete their prerequisites. Our nursing program is actually a 3-year program. Typically, freshman students will apply to our program the spring of their freshman year, March 1st, typically, to then start the nursing sequence in the fall of their sophomore year, and then complete the 3 years of the nursing program. But there are some of those students who want to take a slower pace in completing those prerequisites, and it becomes a 5-year plan. If they do their freshman year and then their sophomore year, and they decide to apply in the spring of their sophomore year to start the nursing program in the fall of their junior year, it will end up being a 5-year plan. We also have an accelerated program. This program is geared to the student who has a prior baccalaureate degree in another field. We've had engineers, we've had chiropractors, we've had, all different types of students who come into that accelerated option. And that option is a 16-month accelerated, as the name implies, completion in order to sit for the licensing exam. So the traditional accelerated sit for the licensing exam. The RN to BSN is a different option. It's geared for the students who are either enrolled in an associate degree nursing program, who want to also at the same time enroll in a baccalaureate degree program. It's a totally online program in which students, as I said, who are dually enrolled in an associate degree program or who have already completed an associate degree program and are a practicing nurse who want to come back to do an RN to BSN completion program. That program has 30 designated nursing credit hours associated with it, as well as they may have some other core courses to complete for the curriculum as a university. But generally, students who are in the dual enrolled can complete that program in 5 short semesters. Oftentimes, they are completing their associate degree And then they will just take one more semester and finish up the baccalaureate courses while they become already licensed with their associate degree that they've completed.
Hey, Debbie, a couple of nursing related questions. First, what is the nursing program's graduation success rate?
That's a great question. We find that our students that enter the program graduate from the program typically. We know life events happen, and typically those are the events that cause our students to do a leave of absence sometimes. It's a rare occasion, but students academically that are accepted into our nursing program are able to achieve the competencies and graduate from the program. As I said, on occasion, a student may have a life event where they have to sit out a semester, and then we get them back into sequence as soon as we possibly can to finish the remainder of their courses. But our completion rate is in the high 90s.
Okay. I'll take the next question. It says, is there consideration for incorporating the School of Nursing into the WUI program? We are part of the WUI. So for those of you that don't know what WUI is, that's the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, which it allows several other states, students from those other states to come to UCCS and get a discounted rate so they don't have to pay out-of-state tuition. And we are absolutely a member of WUI. So if you're interested in that, whether it's in nursing or any of our degrees, any majors across campus, we are part of the WUI collaboration. Debbie, is nursing a direct admit program?
Well, nursing, students do designate nursing as their major when they enter the university, but it's not a direct admit into the program. They do have to apply to the clinical sequence. As I said, typically the freshman year, March 1st, because we have so many seats for that program. And so they do have to apply for the nursing sequence.
Debbie, what is the acceptance rate approximately for the nursing program?
That's always a great question too, and a real hard one to really get hard data on. As far as an application period, currently we accept 78 students in an academic year. Those students are split over 2 semesters because we do feel strongly about keeping our cohorts small. And so our class sizes are kept no more than 42 typically in a class size. But we accept 78, although next year, this coming year, actually, we are increasing up to 84 admissions per year into our program. But as far as acceptance rate, that's a hard question because we do get a lot of applications, but not all of them are complete. So I'm going to go off of complete data, which is usually around 100, maybe to 110 that are complete applications. And so typically that's the 78 to 84 that we take out of that applicant pool.
Okay. All right. We've got some other questions coming in other areas, and one of them's in yours, Jackie. So why don't you give us a little overview of your programs, and then I've got some questions for you.
All right. So again, the health sciences, we offer one degree, which is the BS, the Bachelor of Science in Healthcare Science. And if you remember the slide, it has a bunch of options. And sometimes I think it's really confusing. We tend to understand it in the academic language, but students and parents are kind of struggle with this. So these are all different options you can take within the degree. So the main option that we have, the majority of our majors are in health and wellness option. And again, it's looking primarily at looking at health, looking at wellness, combining both the wellness side, the exercise side, along with promoting health and making healthy lifestyle kind of changes in here. And it's primarily focused, I think, on looking at how you change behavior. So how do I get that individual who has diabetes, who has trouble with his A1Cs and can't get it down? So these are the people who look at and try to motivate you and look at your lifestyle and look at your behaviors and come up with a plan that will help you move in that direction. We also have the Allied Health Completion option. These are actually students who hold a professional certification. So we have lots of, for example, radiology technicians who have taken a 2-year program to become a certified rad tech. And then they're coming back for a bachelor's degree. So we accept 40 credits from those particular programs, which means they can come to UCCS and in 80 credits graduate with a bachelor degree. And it's basically because they kind of want to move up the chain as a radiology technician or a dental assistant or a PA assistant, a PT assistant. They kind of want to move up the chain. It allows them with more promotion, allows them at a greater salary once they hold a bachelor's degree. We also have the medical science option on here, the laboratory science. These are individuals who, if you go to a clinic, if you go to a hospital, if a doc asks for you to have some blood work done, these are the individuals who run that blood work and run those tests. They come in and do a 4-year degree, generally focused on a lot of biology and mostly chemistry. And then we have a partnership with the Colorado Laboratory Science associated with Metro State, and they'll take up to 12 of our students after they've graduated from our program here, because the profession requires a year-long, I guess, 2 semesters of looking at clinical labs and placing you in different clinical labs and does didactic courses with that. The next one on here is nursing intent. And as Debbie explained to you, she has a limited number due to the accreditation for nursing. And as you know, a lot more students apply. So those students who come to UCCS intending to be nurses kind of get routed towards the health science program. They follow the same first 2 years as the nursing program. They have the same opportunity to apply to what Debbie was talking about, her clinical rotations on there. If for some chance they do not make it, we have agreed to accept all of the courses they have taken into the health science. So that's 2 years worth of courses. And we propose to move them in again in 2 years and graduate them with a BS degree. And what we have found, at least in our particular department, is those who finish the health science degree still wanting to be nurse can apply to the accelerated program, and they tend to do pretty well. They've got good study skills. They've taken classes that allow them to look at health and wellness kind of in a different view and actually go into the accelerated program. So that's kind of the overview of the department.
So Jackie, here's a question I think a few people may have. Our daughter is starting the strength and conditioning option in the fall. She plans on continuing to physical therapy. 2 questions. 1, does she have to take gross anatomy? And 2, does UCCS have any plans on adding a physical therapy master's program?
Kevin, you must have planted this particular question, because I'll tell you what, we're really excited for our graduate program. We're really excited to announce to all of you that starting in the summer of 2024, we will have our first cohort of PT students for the doctorate in physical therapy. So we are taking 40 students. We've partnered with the Anschutz campus. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that particular program, but they're ranked 15th in programs across the United States. So Anschutz has the accreditation. We are falling underneath that accreditation. And what will happen, it'll be 2 programs. There'll be the residential program at Anschutz, and it will be a hybrid program here at UCCS. And let me explain the hybrid. The hybrid means that you will be taking your didactic courses online, and then anywhere between 2 and 3 times a semester, you'll be coming to UCCS to our new Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. And you will be doing the hands-on laboratory classes here at UCCS. So the coursework is primarily online, but the laboratory courses where you learn about the manual therapy that goes along with PT will be held here. So I will tell you, right, Andy and I are kind of holding hands with this because you would come under Andy's department under exercise science with a focus and an option in strength and conditioning. And then you would apply to the program. And if accepted to the UCCS hybrid program, you move over to the health science department where the doctorate in physical therapy will be housed out of the health science department. So you get to do your whole career at UCCS.
In fact, we should note that the very first student that has already been admitted to this new Doctor of Physical Therapy program is currently an exercise science student at UCCS. So that's really exciting for us to see that pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
We're really trying to work on that pipeline so that more of our students have a direct transition to the DPT program and at least get to apply and have their applications looked at with a first level of review already being done almost.
Yeah, and several people are asking about master's degrees in physical therapy. Just so everybody knows, there are no master's degree. The profession now requires, and it has for quite some years, it requires an entry-level doctoral degree. So that's the only way you can become a licensed physical therapist. But you don't have to do a bachelor's, then a master's, then get the doctorate. You can do your undergraduate bachelor's degree and then go right into the DPT program, the Doctorate of Physical Therapy program. So it's going to be a nice pipeline for our undergraduate students that are majoring in exercise science or strength and conditioning, whatever it might be, to then transition right into that doctoral degree.
Yeah,
And Kevin,
I'll
answer that. Let's go ahead.
I think a lot of people get confused when you see doctorate of physical therapy. So it's a clinical doctorate. It's not kind of the doctorate that I have or Andy has or Debbie has, right? We have that philosophy doctorate. So it's a little bit different. It's a 2.5-year program. It's about 110 credits. You're going year round once you start summer, fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, and then you will graduate in that second year in December. So it's a 2.5 year program in 110 credits, and it's a clinical doctorate, right? Often gets confused with the PhD doctorate.
Yeah, and to answer the first part of that question, do you have to take gross anatomy? Yes. If you're in exercise science or human physiology and nutrition, we have built both of those curriculum for the first 2 years. They're almost identical. You take general biology, you take general chemistry, you take anatomy, you take physiology, you take English, you take math. So you are taking all the basic prerequisite classes to apply to PT programs, to apply to medical programs, dental programs, PA programs, accelerated nursing programs. So you really do keep your options open during the first couple of years, no matter what your major is. And that was an intentional design because I think many of us coming into this field a little bit later tripped over that. And we don't want to see other students trip over that.
And I will tell you, one of the strengths of our programs is our anatomy program. We have a state-of-the-art anatomy lab, and when I did my undergrad, we didn't have cadavers. We were dissecting animals. And then the first institution where I taught, we didn't even have animals. We were doing anatomy with plastic models, and it is just not the same. So if you're going into healthcare or human performance, to be able to actually dissect a cadaver and feel the tissues and see, their orientation to other tissues and organs, it really does make a huge difference. So that's something that is really unique, I think, for our students and gives them a leg up when they want to go on to more advanced degrees or whatever career they're going into.
And it's not just one cadaver. We have
Oh, yeah.
9 this year. And so you
Yeah.
get really individualized instruction with very specialized instructors. I mean, some of them are even pathologists and surgeons themselves. So
Yeah.
it's a special program for sure.
We've got a lot of questions, so I'm going to start trying combining some of these together. But a few people have asked, what advice you may have for somebody who's exploring their options with all of our majors. Maybe they're interested in nursing, but they want to keep their options open. Maybe they don't know what area they want to go into. They want to do something in healthcare or human performance, but aren't sure what that might be. So does anybody have any suggestions on how they may be able to find that passion?
So there are 2 courses, one offered by the Health Sciences and one offered by HPNU, Human Phys and Nutrition. And those are kind of the professions of health science. So I would suggest that they take either the HPNU or they take the health science, right? Professions of health science or healthcare. And what it does is allows them to explore all the different opportunities, all the different careers in the health sciences. So either one of those courses through Andy's department or my department, I think will allow people to experience and see what some of these professions are. And then hopefully at the end of this, they find a passion for one of them, and then they can kind of move down that track for picking up the prereqs for whatever profession they'd like to be in.
One other suggestion I have is that we have a very strong Student Nurses Association here. And we encourage freshmen, even if they're not certain that nursing is their major of interest, they can come to those monthly meetings. There's monthly presentations by professionals across all different aspects, particularly of nursing, if they feel that they have any kind of interest in nursing, to come and hear the stories, come and hear the perspectives of those guest speakers that come in on a monthly basis. There's no cost to it. BSNA here provides lunch. As I said, they're a very large group, a very active group. And oftentimes that gives you some other perspectives as well as to different avenues you can take. And nursing provides many, many different opportunities with a basic degree. As a BSN program, we have to prepare students to be generalist. And then they can kind of take all different kind of tracks upon graduation of a particular passion area, a particular interest area. But just kind of learning that there's different clubs at the university as well that we encourage students to become involved in, getting some exposure to some of the health professions that way. There's also the GPS courses that are offered freshman year that are required, and some of them are particularly focused on different health professions and different aspects of health professions.
Okay. Debbie, a quick one for you. My daughter is interested in behavioral health nursing. Do you have a pathway for that interest?
We do. As I said, our baccalaureate degree has to prepare nurses to be generalist. So they do cover all the areas, and they do have a mental health course. But we also have a master's degree for psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners in our master's program and in our DMP program. So students, a lot of our students are doing direct entries into our master's program as well. As soon as they complete their bachelor's degree, they're taking a semester to get licensed and get transitioned into an entry-level position, but they're also applying and starting graduate courses because we don't have a practice requirement. The only practice requirement is by the State Board of Nursing is that by the time you get to finishing your advanced practice degree in whatever specialty that you're in, that you have to have 3 years of nursing practice. But we see many students transitioning right in, just like the DPT that they mentioned is moving right from their bachelor's to a DMP or a master's. We have both exits. We have a master's degree exit, and we have the full completion of a doctorate in nursing practice.
Jackie, do you happen to know the graduation rates for your athletic training program?
Actually, I believe it's almost 100%, again, in the high 90s. All of them have passed the Board of Certification for athletic training. So they're all certified athletic trainers. Those who choose, once they've graduated, to continue on, we've got, I think, one of them that is actually looking at PT. They want to be an athletic trainer / PT. I'm pretty sure, Kevin, that it's around right, 98, 99%, because all of them have graduated and all of them have taken the board, the BOC, their board certification test, and all of them are certified athletic trainers. And I believe the great majority of them, again, the high 90s are all practicing as athletic trainers.
Yeah, so 98, 99% graduation rate, and then 100% rate of those who do graduate pass the certification exam, which is key, because that's what you need to be able to practice. Andy, same question for exercise science, graduation rate?
Yeah, I mean, when you look across the board, the graduation rate is high as long as it's just a matter of taking the classes. We do not have a certification exam at the end, but what we do with the exercise science degree is we steer them towards a couple different paths, either preparing them to take a certification exam to be a registered like exercise physiologist through the American College of Sports Medicine, or become a certified strength and conditioning specialist. We build that into the program so that they can sit for those exams, but they do not have to take those exams as part of their degree program or even to become a professional, but it is highly recommended to take those 2 exams to enter the field. But we don't track that success rate there because we don't mandate it and they don't have to take it.
And Andy, approximately how many students are in your human physiology and nutrition program compared to the exercise science program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So exercise science program, we started officially in 2016. The human physiology and nutrition program started in 2019. So they're a couple of years behind. So we're just building out. Right now we have 320 so exercise science majors and about 150 or so human physiology and nutrition majors, but that's still building itself out. When we were in biology and offered the biomedical science option, which is essentially the same degree now, we had over 400 majors in that option.
Debbie, couple of questions for you here. Is it possible to double major as a traditional BSN student?
It's really difficult to double major with the clinical requirements that we have in our junior and senior level clinical courses. But we do have students that do minor. They may minor. We have several options for that students may choose to minor in. We have a new gerontology minor. And Linda, you may have some other ideas of what our students commonly minor in. Psychology, we commonly see that as a minor as well.
Occasionally art, something like for art and music therapy, that type of thing.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was my next question, is can you do a minor in nursing? And you certainly can. There is a question about study abroad, and doesn't matter what major you're in, whether it's nursing or exercise science or athletic training, whatever it is, we do offer study abroad options. Jackie, do you want to talk a little bit about yours?
Sure. I have a couple faculty in the department that really are looking at a study abroad program. We offered it, of course, we tried to offer it and then COVID hit. So we've had to take a couple hits back on here, but It's looking at blue zones. Blue zones, they're throughout the world, and these are communities that have longevity, that have lower chronic lifestyle diseases, less diabetes, less heart disease, less hypertension. So we're looking at a study abroad in some of these blue zones so that our students, and they're open to they're not necessarily just limited to health science students, but we open it up campus wide. We are looking for next summer. One of the blue zone countries is, they're talking about either Greece or they're talking about Costa Rica. So they take a cohort of students, as well as some community members, as well as some faculty over, and study the blue zones and how these populations actually live longer, live better, have healthier lifestyles, and are more active.
And Andy, how about you?
Study abroad. Yeah, no, we have an excellent opportunity for students to study at Loughborough University for exercise science, which is in the UK, and it's the top exercise science program in the UK. Very prominent professors there, excellent research opportunities, and we have a direct, basically, partnership with them, and we have open slots pretty much each year to be able to fill, and then the students from Loughborough can come over here. So it's a neat exchange, and we also do that with the business program in their sport management program. It's kind of all lumped together. So that's a neat opportunity. And then through the National Student Exchange, although it's not abroad per se overseas, we have the opportunity to send students to other institutions within the US and still pay in-state tuition, still pay the UCCS tuition to go to other institutions as well. So there's multiple opportunities to really expand your horizons.
Andy, the medical brigade too?
The global
the medical brigade, yeah. So
Yeah.
through it's a student club, but it's run by one of our faculty members, Sabine Allensbach, who's one of our anatomists. She leads groups of students on a medical brigade that is sometimes medical, sometimes more dental related to. She's gone to Ghana. She's had a couple that were canceled because of the pandemic, but they tend to take, what is it, about 30 students, and they try to take 2 faculty members, so that it's about a 1:16 ratio between a faculty member and students, to go out and do essentially medical treatments for people in underserved populations abroad.
And again, I had Jackie and Andy talk about those programs, but they are not specific to their majors. If you're a nursing student, again, any of our degrees, any of them can go to any of those opportunities. They are not specific to that department or that specific program, and which is great, because then you interact with students in a multitude of healthcare majors and learn from them as well. So those are really good experiences and something that we recommend, because it's, with medicine, especially the way we practice medicine here is not the same they practice it in other countries. So it's nice to get those different perspectives. All right, I've got a question here, and I need people to be brief on this. But Debbie, let's start with you. Can you describe some of your community partnerships, medical facilities, and other care facilities where students get hands-on experiences?
Yes, our students complete 800 clinical hours throughout the program. They do start clinical sophomore year and then junior and senior year. We do have an accredited simulation center, so we do value some simulation, which is practice in a safe environment. But we do limit our simulation to about 18% of those clinical hours, because we do really value actual placements in facilities. Our students, fortunately here in Colorado Springs, we have wonderful healthcare systems. We actually have 3 systems. We have UC Health system, which has 3 facilities. We have Centura, Penrose, St. Francis, which will soon have 3 facilities, acute care I'm referring to. And then we have Children's Hospital. So our students rotate through those 3 systems for their acute care. And then we use a wide variety of community agencies that our students are exposed to, because nursing is beyond the hospital. Nursing is in a lot of community areas. So our students get a lot of practice in other community agencies as well.
Jackie, how about with athletic training? Can you give us a quick list?
Sure. So again, each of these kind of professions, right, have to do clinical hours. So we have a lot of clinical rotations through local high schools, again, with their athletic trainers. So we send out our students to many high schools in the community, and including even South Denver. We have our students doing lots of work with local and again, colleges. So we've got students down at CC, we have students at Air Force, we have students with our own athletic department. We actually have a student who is headed up, who actually is already up in Boulder working with the football team, with the Boulder athletic department. And then we work with a lot of clinics. So performance clinics that have athletic trainers, so they get that kind of experience of working not necessarily in an athletic department, but actually working in several clinics. A lot of our some of our clinical rotations are now going up to the Stedman Orthopedic Clinic up in Vail, so they'll get some experience of working with orthopedic surgeons and helping them run the clinic that way. We also have a student who's doing a summer internship with the Dallas Cowboys, so he'll be going down to Dallas this summer and working with a summer internship with athletic training. If we're looking at health science, just quickly, we work a lot with the city of Colorado Springs. We provide programming for the city of Colorado Springs, and then they've been hiring our students within the health department, within school districts. We work with Wounded Warriors here in Colorado Springs, and they've also hired a lot of our students. We work with many of the hospitals that Debbie had mentioned. In our program, students can become certified health coaches, and they do a lot of rotations through Children's, Penrose, St. Francis. And then we've got a lot of them employed right now with Children's Hospital as health coaches.
Okay. Amy, I'm going to switch it up here. I think this is a great question, especially in your area. So what could a student expect going for a BS in human physiology and nutrition? What does post-graduation typically look like for this major in terms of options to pursue?
Yeah, that's a great question. We built that major to be as versatile within the healthcare arena as possible. So as I mentioned before, in that major, you take all the basic prerequisites to go on to medical school, PT school, PA school, dental school, that's all built in there. So those professional tracks are really wide open for you. It's really what you want to apply to. Now, for those students who don't want to go into a professional program, what are the job opportunities with a BS in human physiology and nutrition? Well, one of the biggest areas that we see students getting jobs is actually in clinical research. So there are jobs called professional research assistants. There are also jobs within clinical research organizations such as they're called CROs, but essentially they're working, helping manage drug trials or helping execute drug trials. We have students who are working with medical device companies, sales. So like our sales rep for Stryker Orthopedics here in Colorado Springs has a degree in human physiology. What are some of the other ones? I have a couple students that went on to work in the aerospace industry with manned flights in space, of how they design space systems essentially to keep people alive. Those are some of some other device companies and software companies that are making applications for human health. We have at least 2 of our graduates have been employed with a company called AD Instruments here in Colorado Springs. It's a worldwide company, and they make equipment and software to essentially help researchers and educators in that space. So those are some examples with human physiology and nutrition.
And somebody asked, what is the best degree if you're interested in becoming a surgeon? I don't know if there is a best degree. They all offer different, specialties that would then lead to that option. But Andy, I would say we do have a lot of students in your areas in exercise science, as well as human physiology and nutrition, that are interested in going on to med school. So that's a very popular one, and they're very successful. A lot of them, we do have a good success rate of those students then getting into those programs. All right, Debbie, a couple for you. Is there a study program for nurses to become nurse practitioners? What does that track look like?
Yes, we have both a master's program to become a nurse practitioner. We have 3 tracks in that: family nurse practitioner, adult gerontology, or psychiatric mental health. So we have the master's track, which is around 46 credits. We also have a postmaster's certificate track for those that already have a master's degree in nursing, but want to come back and pursue a different track as a nurse practitioner. And then we also have a doctoral track that students can take 70 credits from their BSN to the DMP. And along the way, they take all the necessary courses to actually sit for the nurse practitioner certification exam in one of those 3 options.
Debbie, if you're starting at a community college for your freshman year and transferring, what classes would you recommend taking to lead into the nursing program?
Well, here I'm going to rely on my great advisor, Linda. She's probably got some great insight into those.
Sure.
Linda, you want to kind of?
Yeah, we
that.
recommend that you take your basic courses, take your English composition 1 and 2, take your intro to psych, probably an intro to biology before you get into anatomy and physiology courses, intro to chemistry 1 and 2. So it's your basic classes. There's others you can take, like developmental psych. It does require what we call a global social elective. So things like cultural anthropology or intro to sociology are great classes to take. There's quite a number of them, and we do have some recommended on our transfer website too, that you can see there. So basic introductory classes.
And Linda, this may be a question for you as well, but it says on the sample schedule I received about the courses for the BSN, there's an option between an 8 credit or a 5 credit course to get chemistry prerequisite freshman year. What are the differences between those 2?
Okay, I believe at this time the 5 credit hour chemistry class has been discontinued. So the 8 credit hour chemistry classes, like intro to chemistry 1 and 2, the 5 credit hour chemistry class was 32 weeks of chemistry compacted down into 16. So it was chemistry 1 and 2 in 1 semester instead of 2.
Thank you. Question for everybody here. Does UCCS help successful students with internships or job placements? Anybody want to talk about how their department helps with internships and job placements?
So I can start. So as part of the requirement for the program in the BS in healthcare science, the department requires 6 credits of internship. So in our department, you take 1 credit of that 6 as kind of an orientation to what you're going to do for your internship, what to expect, what you should be looking for, how you plan for this. And then you go out and do 5 credits of actual internship with one of our partners that I had mentioned on here. What we find is a lot of the internships hire our students. So we have a pathway, as I mentioned, through Children's Hospital. Our health coaches go out and do an internship out there. Our students who become health coaches go out and do an internship out there, and they hire them. They're right now, a lot of the clinical areas of hospitals and clinics are looking to hire health coaches. So they get kind of automatically hired there. We have a lot of them that have done programming for the city. They're getting hired by the health department. They're getting hired by school districts. They're getting hired by the city to continue on with some of those programs. So a lot of our internships do lead to permanent hires.
And Debbie, how about you? How do you help students with finding clinical placements as well as finding a job afterwards? Not that that's a problem.
Yeah, it's not a
For your
problem.
students.
Our students, we do all of our clinical placements for our students throughout the program. And we do have some special practicum courses that student can do focused clinical practicums in areas of interest. We find, though, that many of our students do find employment junior and senior year. And so they're testing out the waters, if you will, at different, one of those facilities that they've kind of identified might be an area. Our community partners have developed a lot of transition programs for students who can work during their program to advance their skills, but also get a taste of what it might be like to work for that facility. So it's kind of if you know of a CNA, a certified nursing assistant, it's kind of a CNA plus, if you will. It's a ACP, an advanced care provider. And many of our students get hired by one of our local facilities to practice there. And 100% of those students are offered positions there. And pretty much all of our students have jobs by the time they graduate. They've interviewed, they've been getting offers, because we know the intense need for nurses is real. And so our students do have great opportunities at graduation.
Debbie, staying with you, and this is a timely question. Does UCCS offer a nurse anesthetist degree? What is the pathway for CRNA after graduating with the BSN?
Yeah, that's a great question. We had explored the possibility of doing our own CRNA program, which is an advanced practice, of course, and it has to be a doctoral. They've gone to, just as they were mentioning about the DPT, that for a CRNA, entry into practice is a doctoral or DMP. We did explore the possibility of offering our own program, but we are partnering with a university that has a long-standing history of providing CRNA programs in Chicago. And they recognize in Colorado, there are no CRNA programs in Colorado. So there's an intense need. So we are just in the process of finalizing our MOU with this university, and they are going to start to offer a cohort of a CRNA program here, and going to utilize our Simulation Learning Center and utilize our space. Now, the degree will be from Rosalind Franklin University, but we will be collaborating with them with some of our other programs as well. So it's really going to provide an opportunity for our graduates who want to go on to a CRNA to have a program in Colorado. Typically for a CRNA program, a nurse does have to have 2 years typically of critical care experience before they can apply to a CRNA program. But we're really excited about being able to meet that need in our communities.
All right, we are just about out of time, and somehow I think we answered all the questions. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I certainly want to thank all of our panelists for providing their expertise. I'm definitely willing to stick around if anybody has any other questions they'd like to ask, or maybe a question that wasn't addressed completely. But if not, thanks everybody again for participating, and please let us know if we can help with anything else. We're excited about your interest in our programs and would love to see your students here in the fall. So thanks again, and hope everybody has a good night. Debbie, do you see this question? Do we apply to the nursing clinical program first and then take the HESI exam?
Yeah, it's a great question too. No, students apply by March 1st to the nursing sequence. It won't be until later that semester, toward the end of their freshman spring semester, that we will open up a window to take the HESI. We want them to get most of that second semester of content before they take the HESI, but they can definitely start preparing before then, taking some small amounts of time. And the important thing with the HESI is to take time and study. A lot of students make the mistake, oh, I know those content areas, I'm just going to go take the test because I can retake it. But you want to do well on the first take because you can only take it once during an application cycle. So take the time to prepare using the study guide.
A couple of questions just rolled in here. Linda, how hard will it be to transfer out-of-state credits?
Not hard at all, as long as they're coming from a regionally accredited university or college, which pretty much is all state schools, private schools, places like that. They will transfer in and meet our requirements. There might be a few little differences, but in general, as long as you have a C- or better GPA, classes will transfer in.
Linda, a scholarship question for you here. They have a daughter attended a pre-collegiate workshop about scholarships. She has basic application done, but one of the scholarships says if your ETC is greater than 10,000, she shouldn't apply. But we are providing room and board. She is paying for herself. Should she apply for the scholarship? Our EFC is over 10,000, but she is paying.
You know, that is really, I would have you contact financial aid with that question for the best answer. And you can reach them at just finaidse@uccs.edu, or their main number is 719-255-3460. That's really a better question for a financial aid counselor.
Another question, could we clarify if the nursing program is under the WUI rate since the WICHE website has different information? Yes, yes, the nursing program is under WUI. I think that's it. I'm not seeing any other questions popping up.
Okay.
So thanks again, everybody, and hope you all have a good night.
Bye, everyone.